Just a couple of words about the recording, just so that you're aware of recording issues. For those tonight, it is a public meeting and it is recorded, and it will be published on the Council's website in about 48 hours. You may need to come forward a bit, perhaps, or maybe I can come forward a bit. How's that? Is that any better? That's better. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the tech check. Much appreciated. So the recording will be on our council website in about 48 hours. And so you will be picked up in the gallery. So if you don't want to be seen, move out of the way is what I would suggest. I'd invite all our elected members to stand, and anyone who else wants to join us in our pledge. We recognise this city's considerable natural and cultural heritage, including thousands of years of traditional ownership by Ghana, and the more recent contribution from people either born here or who have migrated here. As we meet together, we build on this heritage by respecting and listening to each other, thinking clearly, being receptive to new ideas, speaking honestly, and deciding wisely for the current and future well-being of those we serve. Thanks, everyone. And I'm just welcoming Renee Mitchell as our acting CEO tonight. Got some sad news. There's been our CEO, Sharon Mason, is on bereavement leave due to a death in her family, so she's not able to be with us tonight. But we're in very good hands, and so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. A couple of things around the gallery. There are some more people coming in, which is fantastic, but we do only have 35 seats in there. So once those seats are full, and if you've heard the issue that you're interested in hearing, I'd encourage you to make way for somebody else by leaving there so that someone else perhaps outside can join you, join that space. We also need to conduct our business in an open and transparent manner so that you are here, and reminding you that you're here to observe the meeting rather than participate in any kind of activities like, interesting slogans you might want to yell out or anything like that. I will be required to ask you to leave if you are obstructing the meeting. And it's my responsibility to make sure that we... sorry, I've got a sore throat, so I might... wear myself out a little bit here, to work within the Local Government Act regulations and indeed our own code of practice as elected members. So I'd ask all elected members, just a little reminder, that we address each other through the chair and not to one another, and that our debate needs to be on point and on the motion, and not to be distracted by other interesting thoughts that might come into your mind. I'm confident we'll get through a really interesting and long meeting tonight, and I look forward to everyone's participation. We do have an item on our agenda which is regarding conflict of interest, so I'm just going to check, are there any conflicts of interest that elected members wish to bring to my attention? Councillor Pritchard.
Item 10.2. Are we going to do them now, or are we going to do them at the
it'd be good to say them now, and we will also do them at the actual time too.
So this is regarding community-owned sporting clubs. I'm a financial member of a sporting club that's part of one of those clubs, but it's just a general conflict of interest.
Thank you. Any further conflicts of interest? Councillor THEMELIOTIS?
I'm happy to move if there's no further.
No, do you have a conflict of interest you wish to declare? Any other conflicts of interest? Okay, I will. Then we could have the opportunity to move the minutes. Councillor THEMELIOTIS. Thank you. Councillor Eaton, are you seconding those? Thank you very much. All those in favour? Against? They're carried. We don't have any adjourned business or any leaves of absence to report. The next item is the Mayor's report. Do I have someone to move that? Councillor Eaton.
Britain.
Thank you very much. A seconder? Councillor Platten.
Happy to second.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Do you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, everyone. We have no presentations, so we move immediately into our deputations for this evening. And our first deputation this evening is from the Woodlanga Recreation Park, and I'll invite Paul Williamson and Ron Rodder to come up, and we are doing the deputations from here. And as they arrive, I do wish to acknowledge that Peter GUERIN was on our list to assist this evening with this deputation. Unfortunately, he's not very well, and I would ask Paul and Ron to send our very best regards to him for a speedy recovery. As you know, you have 8 minutes to share your items of business with us, and we look forward to you doing that. So off you go.
Yes, so thank you.
Can you put your microphone on? There's a little button there. That's it. Beautiful.
That's it.
That one. Or should I turn it off now?
No, I think that's great.
Okay, well, thank you
you
for inviting me to come again. Following the petition calling for more support that was lodged last year, all of the community-owned facilities were very grateful to receive a visit from Janie Baker and Stuart Purvis to hear our concerns. We felt we received a very fair hearing from these council officers, and they can come again. The community-owned facilities wish to have a meaningful partnership with the City of Onkaparinga so that our facility management ability, our volunteer commitment and our community goodwill can be matched with reciprocal council support to offer higher standard services to our community in a sustainable manner. We welcome the commitment to offer a water subsidy to Woodlanga Recreation Park to correct a long-standing inequity, and for a subsidy for toilet cleaning costs at Cherry Gardens Ironbank Recreation Ground, which I know has been one of their major issues for a long time. We have mixed reactions to the report, which contains some inaccuracies and does not always reflect an adequate understanding of the roles played and the concerns felt by community-owned facilities. It makes general recommendations about the concerns listed in the petition. The group is most interested in recommendations such as operating subsidies for maintenance and insurance, but our priorities have been ignored and advocacy and capital works have been nominated for debate tonight. Whilst these nominations are welcome, they are probably our lowest priority items and reflect the least likelihood that the council will have to pay any money. After all, advocacy is just showing a wish list to another government funder. I repeat, maintenance and insurance are the issues which cause us most concern and despair, and we note that nearby councils have managed to address these issues. We have little confidence that changes will be made because none of the recommendations have a description of the development and implementation process, a consultation mechanism, or a deadline. We find this lack of accountability very worrying. The group does not support the recommendations for debate in the report for the reasons mentioned. Whilst we're happy to receive the subsidies on offer, we believe the debate on other recommendations should be adjourned until the report specifically includes recommendations on maintenance and insurance. They're there in the report, but they're going to be buried if they're not brought to the front, and documents them in a manner that gives confidence that an outcome may be achieved. We believe this should be achievable by April 2026 and stand ready to help as required. We remind the Council that community-owned facilities save Council thousands of dollars every year by providing services to their communities. We're not asking for full cost recovery and are happy for contributions to be phased in over 3 years. We think that is fair. Over to Ron.
Thank you very much. Good evening, councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. The McLaren Vale Bowling Club is more than just a bowls club. It's a community hub, a place where people connect, stay active and find belonging. For many of our senior residents, it is one of the few accessible and competitive sporting opportunities available. With an ageing population, supporting clubs like ours isn't just helpful, it's essential for community wellbeing. So beyond bowls, we provide a wide range of community services that often go unseen and are not reflected in current council funding. We make our facilities available at no cost to local charities such as the CFS, Cancer Council, Beyond Blue, Meals on Wheels and Probus, helping them to raise much needed funds. Our car park is used daily by the neighbouring Montessori Children's Centre to ensure safe drop-off and pick-up of children. Around 5,000 people a year use our property as a public walkway to go to local shops and cafes. We host events for social bowls, night owl programs, school sports programs, disability groups, aged care and children's intergenerational activities, Friday meals, exercise classes and on it goes, all for the community. In total, we estimate it's around 15,000 people use our club each year, which is an extraordinary contribution delivered almost entirely by volunteers. To meet growing community demand, we also hire our venue for family events, community gatherings and corporate functions, with 53 bookings in the past year alone. Despite offering services equal to, and in many cases greater, than clubs situated on council land, we receive significantly less financial support. Our volunteers effectively carry out the work that at other clubs is funded by council. This situation is not equitable nor sustainable and inconsistent with council's own policy principles. We are seeking assistance on rate rebate, 40% contribution to greens, maintenance and 50% on utilities. This assistance would bring us into alignment with comparable clubs. The council policy states that subsidies should be fair, equitable and recognise volunteer contribution. At present, we believe these principles are not being met for community-owned clubs like ourselves. We therefore respectfully ask that the council defer its vote on the council petition response and work collaboratively with council clubs to develop a more equitable model. Thank you for considering this request. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'll now invite any questions. Are you happy to take questions?
Yes.
Yep. Any questions? There being no questions, I will thank you very much for your time and for your contribution this evening. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Our next deputation is a group of people. One of those is going to be online. The other two are TRISH and DARCEY. So TRISH Hammond and DARCEY McNamara, if you'd like to come up to where the two gentlemen were, that'd be great. Welcome aboard. They will be speaking to item 12.2 and we do have someone who's coming in online and that's Lisa Wills. And Lisa and Trish and DARCEY are sharing their 8 minutes, and as you heard, you get that ding-dong sound at the 6-minute mark that says you've got 2 more minutes to go. So we'll start with Lisa, and she's just going to speak directly to us, and then we will go. Who's going to go after that, Trish or DARCEY? Okay, Trish, thank you very much. We're in your hands, Lisa, if you'd like to start.
I'm just confirming that you can hear me. Yes? Lovely. Thank you kindly. Apologies, we're just having some tech issues. Good evening. My name is Lisa Wills, and I'm speaking on behalf of Comms Declare, a communication charity that works to address climate change and the influence of high-polluting industries on public narratives, and we're speaking tonight regarding tonight's fossil fuel sponsorship motion. We run Australia's Fossil Advan campaign, and we work hand in hand with councils across the country to explore policies that remove fossil fuel advertising from council-controlled assets. So we focus particularly on fossil fuel advertising because we know that coal, oil and gas are the primary drivers of climate change. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. So across Australia and around the world, communities are increasingly asking a very simple question. Like tobacco previously, what in today's world is the kind of advertising that councils think should be allowed in the public spaces that their communities share? From a communications perspective, fossil fuel advertising is not simply about selling a product. Increasingly, it's about shaping public perception, presenting fossil fuel companies as climate leaders, when in reality we know that they seek to expand oil and gas production. Just as previous generations decided that tobacco advertising did not belong on their buses, their billboards, or in places used by families and young people, many communities are now asking whether or not fossil fuel advertising belongs there either. And importantly, this is not a conversation about regulating the whole economy. This is about what appears on the assets that councils own, fund and manage. In Onkaparinga, that includes the places where community life happens. Bus shelters, transport corridors, parks and playgrounds, sports fields, community centres, libraries and council-run facilities. These are shared public spaces and they're maintained with public funds and they're used by families. A growing number of councils have already begun acting by limiting fossil fuel advertising on these kind of assets. Not every asset and certainly not on private property, but on the spaces within their control. So should tonight's motion be successful, it would make Onkaparinga the 22nd jurisdiction in Australia and New Zealand to take this important step. We know that councils can only act within their remit, and this is a practical example of that in action. The council has already shown extraordinary leadership through its climate response plan and its commitment to reducing emissions and to protecting the natural environment. Ensuring that council-controlled spaces are not used to promote the industries that are driving the climate crisis is a practical, low-risk step that aligns with those commitments. It can be implemented through modest updates to existing policies, and it can be applied in a sensible and phased way, and we've seen that in the motion tonight. This also reflects growing community expectation that the public spaces that people live in, work in and play in should support and not undermine the transition to a safe, clean energy future. So thank you for your time and consideration this evening. I'm really happy to answer any questions. Just note that I can't quite hear you, so I might have to pop them in the chat, but thank you for your time.
Thanks, Lisa. We'll go to the other deputies and we'll take questions at the end.
Thank you, Mayor Ware. I'm a great-grandmother who's seen a lot of changes in her life, and I'm a resident ratepayer in Thalassa Ward. I was very happy to see that this council has declared a climate emergency. To support that declaration, I would hope to see no fossil fuel sponsorship and advertising on council property, particularly when it comes to large-scale events. Other councils in Australia, including Mitcham Council, have taken this step. We all know that fossil fuels are the main driver of the climate crisis we're now starting to feel. Future sporting events will be killed by our warming climate, so it makes no sense for a fossil fuel company to sponsor a sporting event. I've noticed Woodside and Santos tend to sponsor AFL, rugby union, rugby league and cycling. Origin Energy tends to sponsor cricket, soccer and netball. However, a number of sporting and other bodies have rejected fossil fuel sponsorship. I have seen Council's Climate Change Response Plan. It is an excellent document. Thank you. I want to support the motion that Councillor THEMELIOTIS has put forward by urging Council to make the decision to not allow fossil fuel sponsorship and advertising on their own council property. Having already declared a climate emergency, this is an obvious next step. To not do this could be seen as maybe Council having double standards. An aside, may I also suggest that discussions of this nature also occur with the councils within the Resilient South, the regional climate partnership that's been formed. So, to finish my part, I ask you to please seriously consider this motion. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Awesome. Thanks, Trish. And thank you, Councillor Marion, for bringing this motion forward this evening. My name's DARCEY McNamara. I'm a nature campaigner from Conservation Council SA. We represent over 50 South Australian environment groups and their 90,000 odd members. And as a campaigner, I've worked with many community members like Trish, including those from the Onkaparinga Council area, who are concerned about fossil fuel sponsorships enabling climate harm. Climate change impacts like the algal bloom, droughts and heat waves are hitting South Australia hard, and it's urgent that our governments move away from these fossil fuel industries. South Australia has led before. We were the first state to ban tobacco advertising at sporting events before federal parliament acted nationally. That decision recognised that the public spaces should be used to promote products, shouldn't be used to promote products that promote public harm. We're now facing a similar moment with fossil fuels, advertising and promotion, and fossil fuel industry that helps to normalise these companies and maintain their social licence. Even as their core business drives the climate crisis, the International Energy Agency has made it clear that no new coal and gas projects are compatible with reaching net zero, and yet these companies continue to expand. And as Trish and Lisa have mentioned, nationally we're already moving away from fossil fuel promotion and advertising, and this motion would really align with pre-existing Onkaparinga Council policies in place. And local council has a key role here. Just as with tobacco, this is about deciding what kinds of industries we allow to be promoted in our public spaces that we all share. And local council elections are coming up in November, and polling is showing that voters are increasingly concerned about climate change, and they're swaying their vote towards representatives who are acting on climate change. So our community wants action. And tonight's motion is a low-risk way to help make that happen. So I urge this council to address their decisions regarding those climate concerns. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa and Trish and Darcy for that. I will see if there are any questions. No questions. You've made your argument very clear. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you coming this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor.
And I'm just looking to see if Diane is there. Here she is. Couldn't see you back there. Diane Cass is here, and she's going to be speaking on item 10.1, which is regarding our draft Inclusive Communities Action Plan. So if you don't mind, I think that microphone's on. You've got,
Hello.
You'll hear that little ding-dong again at the 2 minutes to go mark, and go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the land of the Kaurna people that we are on this evening. I know that's already been said, but I'd like to add my own, and that the land has never been ceded. And thank you for having me this evening. As has already been mentioned, I'm discussing, did you say 10.1? I'm sorry, my memory. Specifically, I want to really hone in on the capacity that we have for co-production. And that's what we have been doing at council, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm not a member of council, I'm not a staff member, I am a resident. However, I am very aware of the importance of co-design, and co-design is really working with people with disabilities to ensure that they're not only participants but co-researchers as well. Co-production is recognised as a key way to operationalise inclusive research in the disability context, and everybody contributes to and benefits from co-production. So it's not just a case of the person is being patted on the head and told, well done, you've made a great job here, excellent work. It's actually incredibly beneficial. There's a paucity of research that demonstrates people with disabilities have a higher, attendance rate at work. They have higher productivity in the workplace, and they are massively underutilised. So this is what this Act and the plan is really trying to address in part. There's a lot of expertise in lived experience. I'm a person with disabilities, and I say clearly because I wouldn't be part of the focus group and in the group if I wasn't. I'm doing well at the moment though, so it's a hidden disability for today, but it isn't always. Co-production creates a shared community of practice in which everybody has a role in that knowledge creation. So in the group we have people with lived experience of different types of dementia, sensory issues such as blindness and hard of hearing, actually profoundly deaf. We have life-limiting illness and a range of other conditions as well. So we're all coming at this from a very different perspective. And I can tell you that a great many hours have been put into the document to come up with the different aspects of it. And the different headings that you'll see, the domains it's called. Sharing is also, power sharing is incredibly valuable for people with lived experience. There's a tendency in society to pigeonhole anybody who has a disability. And I have not always had a life-limiting illness, and so I have before and after, as it were, and it's a massive difference, massive difference. So it is very, very important to me. There's also the aspect of accessibility. An example is that I quite often will use either a wheelchair or a walker to mobilise because I have extreme fatigue issues. And just as an example, we actually had an event here one evening, or meeting I should say, and I don't know if any of you have ever tried using a toilet with a door when you've got something else that you're trying to balance, or even worse in a wheelchair, it can't be done very easily. So we need to really address this across council because it stops people with lived experience from leaving their homes. And it's bad enough, or not bad enough, but it's difficult enough, challenging enough sometimes to go out with people who do not have lived experience when you are living it, and to not know whether you're going to be able to use facilities, get in the front door, all of these other things is incredibly valuable. So this is another aspect of the inclusion plan that is so important, and I would urge you to consider it carefully. The other point that I wanted to make is that it can provide information for people that do not have a disability or don't have a loved one with a disability and no knowledge of what that's like. Thank you. I'm almost done, so I'm doing really well, actually. Pat on the back. Where was I? Yeah, it's a degenerative muscle disease I've got in my brain. It's a muscle, who knew? So I've forgotten my thread where I was going with that, but Thank you very much. Yes, you're absolutely right. As I said, I didn't grow up this way. I was on a very, very nice trajectory with my work and my role as an academic, and it just all kind of went downhill, and also all of my children have been diagnosed as well. So not only am I now embracing my new life as a person with a lived experience of a disability, but I'm also a carer of 3 young people. Actually, they're, grown men now, apparently. So, yeah, but they're still young. And that was something I never foresaw. So I think it's important that we can all learn from each other. It's not just me teaching you, it's not you teaching me. We're all teaching each other, learning from each other and developing and growing in this area. So I think that was all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll just check if there's some questions. Councillor Davis? Hang on, you need to... What's going on here? Or maybe I need to turn 10 off. Can we turn 10 off? Let's try this, if that worked. Yes.
Thanks, Diane. That was lovely to hear. And I think you've sort of answered it, the fact that you're a carer as well. But with your lived experience and the fact you're part of our focus group, do you then have the opportunity to take the information and the learning and share it across other connections throughout the community? So it's not just yours, but you're actually second and third tier information feeding it back into the focus group?
Well, yes, I do. In fact, I was just saying to Andrew that I was in Canberra at Parliament representing Rare Voices a couple of weeks ago. Rare Voices Australia, because the disease I have is a rare disease, so it sort of, interweaves. I'm also a researcher still, so I do it very piecemeal. But I'm connected in so many different ways to try and disseminate information. I'm passionate about this. So I'm trying, yes. So I definitely will, and that's where there's the overlap, and that's where I know sort of quite a lot about co-design, because I did some focus groups with Purple Orange and other places as well. So, yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Diana. Thank you for coming this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Our next deputation is Matt Farrell. Matt, you know where to come, and very welcome. We have, I think you'll have to go out. Oh, no, that works. Well done. Excellent. So we have 8 minutes, and you'll hear the bell at the 2 minutes to go mark. Microphone 9 is on, so that's the one with the red light. Yep, that's perfect. So welcome, and off you go.
Oh, good evening, councillors, Mayor, everybody. A bit nervous. I'm here to talk tonight about the urban canopy cover target that's being proposed, item 10.4. The proposal is for Oncopringa to achieve a 30% canopy cover, not until 2055, and for the gallery that's 30 years away before we achieve the minimum health standard that is globally accepted as good for as protecting the health of our community. It's the bare minimum recommended. Now, we understand that it's not, the burden for delivery is not solely upon the council, but it is upon the council to set the target for the community to follow. So what we need in private areas and stuff, the council is to be the one at the moment, so far in the future. It's not bold or ambitious, it's dangerous. It is the bare minimum recommended, even by our own Professor Chris Daniels from Green Adelaide. The delay of 30 years to achieve this target will create significant negative impact on our community's health. You've all sat through a couple of years' worth of developing a climate action plan. about how much it's going to affect our community in health, in heat-related illnesses, in deaths, and what that impact has upon us, the economic impacts upon us and upon our community and even the council. And yet we are waiting 30 years, or being asked to wait 30 years to achieve the minimum. This wait of 3 decades will be lethal for hundreds of Onkaparinga residents, particularly children, the elderly and the vulnerable, who are most susceptible to urban heat. The target being proposed is also the worst in the country. You should all have our infographic on the piece of paper in front of you. It is the worst in the country by a long margin. No other city has a target as low and no target as far away. It is possibly the worst in the world. I couldn't search everywhere in the world, but I couldn't find a worse one, or longer away either. These are also detailed in the summary, which is basically what I'm speaking to now. The target proposed also averages it across a large area, the whole metropolitan area, the whole council area, when the 330-300 rule stands for 30% in each neighbourhood, not a region. Urban health effects are very, very localised. The leafy canopy cover of Happy Valley will not help the eve-to-eve housing recently built in Seaford. There's some information missing from your briefings within the agenda. Climate change is a health threat, and Onkaparinga's climate plan is about protecting the health of residents. Their health is the biggest thing for the residents. The economic stuff, and that's other people's, but illness and health are going to be what affects our residents the most. And the 30% by 2055 is not enough to achieve any of the recommendations and the protecting of the health that you have all worked so hard to set up a wonderful document on. On this, there is no community health report on the health outcomes of this target. Why? How many people will die if we wait till 2055 to meet the minimum? How many unnecessary deaths can be prevented by going earlier and going harder as other capital cities have done? There is also no breakdown of the economic costs associated with delayed action. A cost breakdown of the planting and maintaining these plantings, or even planting more, is very well detailed. We'll look out, this is going to cost us a lot of money to plant all these trees, but nowhere in this is the cost of not planting the trees, of not acting sooner, or delaying this cost. The costs are going to be huge, as you all know from doing these documents. This cost benefit needs to be in the information that you have been given. It isn't. How can you make an informed decision if you don't have the information to make an informed decision? The proposal put before you is just one option, and you are being asked to sign off on it without comparisons against what would happen, how much would the cost be, how many people will die if the target was earlier or later, if we had a bigger target or a small target. You aren't being given any options to make a considered decision. You've just been told, here's what we recommend, that's it. The economic benefits of greening are well known, but these are not included in the report either. You know, improved mental health, improved physical health adds to the economy. Lowered energy costs because our buildings are cooler adds to the economy. None of this is included in the information. All you're told is that planting more plants is going to cost us a lot of money. We can't do it too quickly. Excuse me while I keep up. None of those accumulating beneficial factors are included, and I really wish they were, so that I didn't have to be here tonight to tell you this. In the report, to take a fine example, the report 12th of 12/23 about the 800,000 trees, I know that you all remember that, says that only 125,000 trees were able to be planted. But what it neglects to tell you is that the modelling was only done on planting street trees. It wasn't modelled on planting out the parks. These parks that are now being proposed to be sold off. What would happen if we had planted these out instead to address the health factors and the economic factors that are associated with urban heat and climate change, if that had been put on the table as an option? But it never was. It was never even modelled. There are more examples like this throughout that document that I could go on for on and on, but I think the evidence that I've brought before you tonight those similar things, that it is very far away and we are going to suffer significant health and economic impacts by delaying it so long when no one else in the world has anywhere near this delay and much higher targets. That I don't need to give these examples. I'm just going to finish with this. Urban heat is a health issue, and the outcome of the proposed go slow is that many people in our community will die and experience heat-related illnesses unnecessarily. The Onkaparinga Council needs to set an ambitious target for the community to achieve together that will save, well, it will save lives rather than cost lives. I urge the elected members to reject the recommendations put before you tonight and ask for a higher and significantly faster urban canopy cover target to be put forward in the near future for the health of our community. Lastly, I'd like to say that I'm sure the argument will be put in debate that this is a state government thing and we can't change that. That is garbage. This chamber knows that the council constantly takes on the state government and says, we don't like this, we want this change, we want that change, and very often you are successful. So don't buy into that, it's a state government thing, we can't change it. And the other thing is about private land and we can't tell people what to do on their land. All the government's role is to tell people what you can and you can't do. That's it, that's your role. Do it nicely and do it well and do it for our community benefit, but to say you can't tell people, oh, you need to plant more trees, that's a furphy. You can. The best way to do it is tell them how dangerous it is not to plant more trees and not to do it quickly. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. You referred to a document. Yeah, I don't have a copy of that. So
I did. I printed it up for elected members.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I must have missed a bit because I was out and about.
No, for elected members.
Yeah.
Course, but you can
Thank
have
you.
that
Just
one.
so that I've got a copy of two, if that's okay.
I would also appreciate it if that I'll send through a PDF to your office, maybe.
Thank you.
If
That'd
that
be
could
great.
be put in with the minutes.
Sure. It's good to have it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It won't get in the minutes, but it will be available to everyone who's not here on council. Councillor Fisher, you've got a question.
Thank you, Mayor. Matt, thanks again for coming before us and pleading your case.
Community's case.
Yeah, sure, and I accept that as well. What sort of target? How short a time are you looking for?
Okay, going on what I've read on the science and what other cities and even councils are setting, I think 40% by 2040 would be achievable and reasonable. But I think actually a staggered target of say 30% by 2030, 40% by 2040 would allow us to incrementally do it and act soon as well. There's also that you could actually ramp up. Start out slow because the capacity isn't great, the nursery's not big. If you want a new site for your nursery, there's several 20-hectare vineyards at the southern end of, northern end of Sellicks Beach on the side of South Road there, which make a fantastic big new nursery, which would be able to handle the capacity of being able to do something like this. But staggered targets, 30% by 2030, 40% by 2040. 40% by 2040 would be basically the minimum that I would think is reasonable, aligned with the science and aligned with the health recommendations that are everywhere apparently, except for here apparently.
Thank you.
The state government.
Thank you. So we've got that 40 by 2040. Councillor Ju.
I'm not an expert.
Thank you, Matt, for the time and energy you put into this on an ongoing basis. So targets are one thing, and then moving beyond that is actually a commitment to do better and do more. I just wonder what measures you think that are within council's remit to ensure we act and can do this. So one sort of thought that I had that I'd love you to elaborate on is maybe how we could rethink our open spaces.
Yeah, great. Oh, that's a great question. I think that ties to what I was saying about the 800,000 trees. We have many open parks. Grassed areas, monocultures, they're very hot. You look at the heat mappings, they're one of the hottest in there, next to bare ground and hard surfaces. They could be planted out. Large areas of canopy add much more to the cooling environment than a long straight line of the same amount of trees. That overall big thing, and it goes out into the neighbourhood. They work much better. So planting out the parks was what I actually meant when I put that proposal along with Marion through. And then it just got ditched, basically, to we're only planting street trees. And I think how they came up with 125,000 over the 100,000 is They said, all right, we've got them 2.5 metres apart. Let's make it 2 metres apart. That gets us an extra 25,000 trees. How about that? No, we should be planning out the parks. That's where the big difference will be made, and where you can make the most gains, and it will do the most good in these little pocket parks throughout our entire council area. It would work, and it would be really good, and we could actually become the tree city that we say we are.
Councillor Yeoman's question.
Just one question if I can. Thanks, Matt, for coming in. Your passion resonates. Just interested in what you said about the localised and the canopy cover stuff.
Yeah.
This is a fairly big council area.
Absolutely.
So have you got any suggestions how we could measure that to actually address that localised canopy cover that you're addressing?
Yeah, the heat mapping that I'm aware of is very, very localised, and they can bang right down to neighbourhood level. That's done, and you can identify which are your worst suburbs, and I believe that's already done. In the documentation, it says that some suburbs are below 10%, which just blows my mind that has actually happened in the first place. But I would be targeting the suburbs and the areas first, and moving away to other less needy areas. But the target also maybe needs to be broken down into very specifically into urban areas and suburbs, and then the rural areas shouldn't be included in this target. They need their own separate target about biodiversity and looking after agriculture with regards to habitat and biodiversity. But this urban canopy target shouldn't be applied, or nor should those areas, rural areas, be included in counting it. It needs to be very specifically the suburbs, the urban areas where we're going to experience urban heat.
Thank you. There's no further questions here. Thank you for your time, Matt. Appreciate it. Next set of deputations, we have 3 people speaking with different positions. The first 2 are speaking in relation to item 12.3. We have Leanne Friday and David Sahlberg, if you'd like to come up. And I think we can... Have you decided who's going to go first? Okay, so between you, you've got 8 minutes, and off you go.
Thank you, councillors and Mayor, for hearing us today. I'm here to speak regarding the social supermarket that is up for discussion. I have concerns about the wording used in the motion by Councillor Yeomans regarding moving it to a commercial premises. And the reason that I have concerns about that is because I've been working with families and communities in the city of Onkaparinga for over 20 years. I've worked in community centres, I've worked for the Smith family, I've worked for support coordination agencies and as a counsellor. And in those roles, so many of the times that I have been in my office, they have been embedded in the local community. It is still the Smith family's policy 20 plus years later that their officers, their teams who are out on the ground working with families every day are located in the community, in the schools. So I had an office in Hackham West Primary School and then Morph Vale School, so that families could come and access support and see us regarding this educational needs and ways that we could help with their children on site while they were there dropping people off. And it was also a place where it was normal for a parent to be around. So many times parents, and you've probably experienced it yourself, you don't tell your kids the full story, how bad it really is. And they could drop their kids off, or if it was school holidays, there were playgrounds, and come in and actually be honest and get the support that they really needed. So many people have trauma based on different experiences in their lives. So yes, churches offer this type of support, but there are many people who aren't feeling safe to go into churches to ask for that support. There are government buildings that offer support, but there is so much trauma from people who are anxious about entering government buildings to ask for that support. And the same happens when it's a commercial building. It's obvious that you're not there to go shopping at Woolies or Target or all those things, that you're there to go see the poor supermarket. I know, I've shopped at Food Bank because I needed to. As a mum, now 10 years ago, I had an accident. And that accident caused me to wear a moon boot for 3 years until the public surgery wait list fixed me up. In that 3 years, my 3 children and I had to deal with me no longer working because I couldn't drive and I couldn't walk far, and we ended up relying a lot on Food Bank to support us. And I never took my children with me because I didn't want them to know how bad it was, or that the chocolate treats I got maybe were past the expiry date and they didn't have to know that. They could just know they got a chocolate treat. So I wanted to share why it's important to embed things in community, because even though you might think your street is amazing, you know everybody, no one in our street has any problems, they don't need any support like this, but you don't know if those people are telling you the truth. You don't know what they're hiding, and you don't know what mask they put up when they see you in the street putting out the bins. People need support everywhere. I had a great job. I didn't know I'd fall over walking down the footpath and be in a moon boot for 3 years. That was definitely not in my plans, and my children certainly didn't appreciate the disruption to our lives, but we needed support of the charities. So I'm going to just finish with a piece of research I found when I was looking to see for further information. And this is so effective that many agencies in South Australia still do it. The Child and Family Support System, they estimate that they return $1.90 for every dollar invested by reducing the need for further intensive services in the community. So investing in something like this is actually going to be a major investment in our community. And I'll hand over to Dave. Sorry, I stole some time.
That's okay. Thank you. Good evening all. My name's Dave SAHLBERG. I've just come to speak in support of the community food hub at Hastings Street Hall. I acknowledge that nearby residents have some concerns, but I feel they're issues that can be successfully managed. I think it's important to step back and look at the broader context across the whole community. Council's own 2025 survey shows that residents are increasingly worried about rising grocery prices, rising petrol prices, housing affordability and general financial stress. A food hub at Hastings Street Hall addresses people's concerns about rising food prices directly, and by addressing this directly, it also helps relieve pressure on those other cost concerns. There are people in the community who need this help right now, last week, last month, and the sooner that help can be got, the better. And, you know, let's not forget to mention that there's the sudden rise in the cost of fuel is going to be putting pressure on people right now, and, you know, it's probably not going to get worse, and that pressure is going to make the cost for food producers go up. And for many households, food is one of the first pressures people feel when budgets tighten. Increasingly, people who are working, raising families and contributing to the community are finding it difficult. More and more, it's affecting working families, pensioners, singles and young people. The City of Onkaparinga admirably has values that include inclusion, well-being and dignity, and a social food hub strongly aligns with those values. And it's also worth noting that a community food hub is not a commercial retail operation but a community service model designed to help people access affordable food and get practical support before financial stress turns into financial crisis. And that access to practical support can be very important to people who are struggling. If you're struggling and you don't have practical support, it can feel like you're alone in a sea of people, and losing hope is a real risk. And services like this show people that they're not alone and that there are things the City of Onkaparinga are doing to help, which comes back to values of inclusion, well-being and dignity. The proposed food hub is a practical and relatively low-cost response to rising food insecurity. It makes use of existing infrastructure rather than requiring major new construction. and being delivered in partnership with skilled organisations like the Food Shepherd and the Food Centre and Good Shepherd means this can be effective in helping vulnerable households. Community halls exist to support community needs, and food insecurity is an increasing need in the community now and into the future. Putting a food hub there shows the council taking initiative and leadership in a very practical way to help improve people's lives, and I encourage council to continue to support this initiative getting started as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Leanne. Are there any questions? Councillor Dew? Hang on.
Tonight. Leanne, sometimes with, as you can imagine, working in the sector, it can be hard for community. We make assumptions about the people that might be attending such services and things like that. And I just wondered if you could provide a bit of a snapshot of a profile of someone. We hear about the working poor and those sorts of things now, about the people that might access the different programs and services that you've worked within.
Leanne, would you mind just pressing the number 9? Yeah, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. I'll use myself as an example. People look at me and go, oh, she's studying at Harvard. Man, she does things. She's on this committee, she's on that committee, she works with these people, she's always in and out of Parliament House. But I live on a carer's pension. I live with my mother in her housing trust property and my daughter who I'm the carer for, because at the age of 25 she's still not able to live independently. But to people on the outside, they don't see that we eat sausages many times a week because that's what we can afford. There are many families who don't want their kids to know. That was one of the things I really struggled with, and I had to come to terms with in my own supervision counselling, where they wouldn't share the burden amongst family because they didn't want to, one, make it harder, or two, show that they weren't succeeding. And so they would come and see us thinking we could fix it like that. So I was doing some social work and counselling at the time and support coordination for NDIS clients. It would kind of all bundle into one thing. They'd come in with a disability and we would look after the whole family. In that time, we were also working in a house, just the house that we rented at Sellicks Beach. And families were comfy to make a coffee and sit on the couch and have a conversation openly and honestly and drop some barriers. And in that time, we never had any complaints about traffic or the type of people that were being attended. People could have a party every night of the week, and that wouldn't be fun. But yeah, we never had any issues that I found. But I hope that's answered your question.
Thank you. And thanks, David, and thanks, Leanne. We really appreciate you coming in this evening.
Thank you.
I'll now invite Liz Bailey up. She's also speaking to item 12.3. And number 9's on, Liz.
Thank you.
And I think by now you know the drill, so welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Weir and elected members. My name is Liz Bailey and I'm speaking on behalf of the residents who live near the Hastings Street Community Hall at Seaford, which is the proposed location of the Onkaparinga Community Food Hub. I've lived in Tongalla Street, about 80 metres from the community centre, for 13 years, and I've lived in Seaford for 25 years. I'd also like to acknowledge the residents who are attending tonight, who are in the gallery, to support this deputation. Many residents were surprised to learn about the proposal only as recently as the 26th of February, when Council sent out a flyer letting us know what was happening at the centre. We are now in the process of Plan SA public notification for change of use from a community centre to a shop, and it appears that that will be headed to the Council Assessment Panel due to the objections from residents. We have also a petition to submit to the Council with some 60 signatures asking for the location to be reconsidered. Firstly, I want to make it clear that the residents are very supportive of the concept of a community food hub and the services it would provide. We understand that there are people in our community who do need support, and services like this can play an important role in helping families and individuals experiencing hardship. I grew up in hardship, and this would have made a big difference in my life if this type of service was available to my family when times were tough. Our concern is not about the service itself, but about the suitability of the proposed location at Hastings Street Community Hall. This hall is located in Lyndhurst Reserve, the site of a former kindergarten some 15 years ago, and has minimal playground equipment and a basketball ring, but mostly is only used by the local residents. The only parking is available at the centre. The hall is only used by a couple of regular groups, but otherwise is available to hire ad hoc from council. Very quiet usage, and if groups were using it, we wouldn't know. When Council approved support for the food hub in November 2025, the report appeared to focus primarily on providing the service rather than the broader impacts on the surrounding community. Important considerations such as traffic impacts, parking, safety, transient people, suitability of the location, potential alternative sites were not clearly addressed, if at all, and instead recommended the location with no options. The November report states that the location was chosen because Hastings Street Hall offers stronger benefits, including its location in a lower socio-economic area, better transport access, fewer nearby food outlets, and greater scope for expansion through community partnerships. Some of the information referenced in the report does not appear to align with publicly available data, including from the ABS cipher, the socio-economic indexes for areas, information and the actual accessibility of transport services in the area. Bus services are approximately 600 metres away and require walking through residential streets and the reserve to access them. The nearest train station is around 1.5 kilometres away. This means many users would likely want to drive, which increases concerns about traffic and parking in surrounding streets. If people did choose to use the bus, the walk is not mobility friendly and would put pedestrians possibly at risk if they choose to walk on the road where there are no footpaths. As there was no detail in the council report and no communication with the residents in the consultation phase, when public notification was made available last week, we gained a little further insight and detail into the proposed operation: a social supermarket, support services and a small cafe. About 15 staff could be on site at any one time, including volunteers, and they would take up the off-street parking capacity. But interestingly, the applicant didn't foresee any increase in traffic to what is already being experienced. 2 parks would be removed and converted into a loading zone for deliveries. However, in a letter I received from the Director of Communities on Friday the 13th of March, I'm being told that the number of people attending could be between 50 to 100 per day, and that Hastings Street Community Hall delivers community centre programs and services that was identified as the most suitable location with capacity for increased usage. This information doesn't align with the public notification information provided by Plan SA from the applicant. To my knowledge, the centre is hardly used, and that could be the basis for the decision to use it for this service. As I have said, residents have only been contacted about the proposal, despite the expected opening being as early as May 2026. If development approval is granted. This has left many residents feeling that the meaningful consultation with the local community has happened too late in the process and is causing mistrust and concerns that council is not being transparent. We thank the staff who are currently engaging residents, but the funding has already been approved, the tender for the service already awarded, and the residents are now basically being asked to agree and being told we will work with you. The phone calls and communication I personally received from management are still focused on this site being suitable, and any concerns will be addressed, but no explanation as to how they will be. Unless I distribute the information I have obtained to other residents, they may not be aware of what is being said outside of the official reports. We believe that when the changes of this scale are proposed for community facilities located within residential areas, early communication and engagement with the surrounding local community is essential. Keeping residents informed and involved helps build trust, and this often leads to a better and more sustainable outcomes, especially with a critical service like this. Again, I would like to emphasise that the residents support the establishment of a community food hub. However, we believe the location should be carefully reconsidered to ensure the service can operate successfully in a place that is appropriate, easily accessible by foot, and able to support the level of activity it may generate from the surrounding area, including other suburbs where it is needed. Many people will have to find this location. It is tucked away, hidden, and if the need is great in the area, as council staff allude to, then the location should be visible in a non-residential area, be able to expand if needed, and give the community who need to use it more dignity to feel like they are attending a community centre, not just because they are vulnerable and struggling, but for other services as well. Visibility will also get organic traffic. such as people doing it tough but too proud to pick up the phone and ask for help. They know help is there because they can see it and they can access it. I know from lived experience. Other sites that provide these types of services, such as what is proposed, are not located in quiet residential areas hidden from main traffic. For these reasons, we respectfully ask elected members to support Notice of Motion 12.3 and reconsider whether Hastings Street Community Hall is the most suitable location for this service. This would allow Council the opportunity to review the location, properly consider potential impacts on the residential area and ensure that both the service and surrounding community are supported. Taking the time now to review the location before it starts will help ensure that this important service succeeds long term while maintaining the character and safety of the surrounding residential community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening.
Thanks, Liz. I'll just see if there's any questions. Councillor Yeomans?
Yeah, just a couple. Thanks, Liz, for coming in. You can take a breath now.
No, thanks.
And also, just thank you for the residents for coming down as well to support you. So, public speaking's not the best, and I'm not the best at it either. So, thanks for speaking on behalf of the residents. Just a couple of things. You've had a busy 2 or 3 weeks. Just in your walk around, accept what you said in your speech, but just when you've been walking, talking to residents generally, what have you picked up as the general sentiment within that neighbourhood?
Council wants the community food hub, but the location is wrong. Even having the community hall in that location is wrong. It was a former kindergarten, but it's in an area which has got no through streets. It's like local traffic only that goes into these streets. Along one side of the park, there's no footpaths. The park is in ordinary condition, put it that way. So it's not heavily used. So it's a very, very quiet area. So the residents are concerned about the impact of people coming into the area. So that's the general consensus. We're not against it at all. We would just like it to be reconsidered is that the most appropriate place.
And you mentioned before that you've been in the dark. You feel as if you've been in the dark a little bit.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, if you could wind back the clock, how would you, from your own point of view, have thought Council could have approached this position?
I think Council could have notified the residents that Hastings Street Hall was being considered when they were doing their consideration process before they put their report to Council and
so
got the views.
About last year, something.
Yep, last year. That report went to Council in November. I'm not sure when they did their assessment, but we have been provided with no information of how it was selected, and that we would have liked to be engaged right at the very beginning of the process if that was a possible shortlisted site, to get our views on what you might need to do to the area to address our concerns.
And just a couple more, if I can. Just taking a point made by Matt earlier, the earlier deputation. He said something about how can you make an informed decision without all of the information. So I take it you've had a look at the motion. Do you think those points that the Council will consider later for an inclusion in a further report for consideration, if that's carried, do you think those points will provide more information?
I think it will give the residents a chance to understand the decision-making process and how you come about to making decisions, and why places like the Seaford Community Centre, which provides services to the wider public, was not considered or not found to be suitable, where it operates on a daily basis, has got constant foot traffic and close to other facilities and transport. That would give the residents the chance to have a look at that information and look at the other sites as well, and that could help say, okay, all right, we get it, or we don't get it. But when you come along and you just get to bang, it's changing, and you're not told, you don't have no idea what's going on, that's where we get put on the back foot.
Just one more. And on behalf of the residents, what do you think the residents would like as an outcome from Council tonight?
We would like it to be reconsidered. We would like to take this the location back to Council to reconsider, to administration to have a further look and provide us with more information, like I said, as to why that was the location. Have a look at the information will come back from Plan SA through the public notification process and why the residents are objecting to it. Provide the residents with traffic impact statements, with location assessments, and how it is going to affect them, because in the Council report it was missing, in the Plan SA documents it's missing. There is no information to make informed representations or decisions.
Thank you. Councillor Dew.
Thank you, and thank you to all the residents as well who have attended. I wondered if you feel that residents are now aware around the operating, like the model or what a social supermarket actually is.
Yes, I think we do. And like I said, I really wish this was a model that I had growing up as a child, because yes, I agree with the lady that spoke earlier about your parents don't want to tell children, you want to keep it quiet. And that's why I mentioned about having somewhere where it can be seen, because you also pick up the organic where somebody might say, I'm just going to walk past. And I might just, I didn't know that they provided that service, because some people are too proud and they won't say anything and they won't ask for help. But the location, and I'm not sure if you're all aware where it is not in an accessible location for easy people to get to. And it's the impact on residents with all those people coming in, and we'll have to bring cars into the area, and the area just doesn't accommodate it. But we understand it, we support the model, we want it to go ahead, but we just feel you need to choose or have a reconsider of the location, or where you put it to make it successful.
Thank you. There's no further questions. Thank you for coming. So we're moving into the reports of committees. So if you're following on an electronic version, we're up to page 45 and we have about 600 pages. So I'm just letting you know to go. So item 9.1, CEO performance minutes. Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
Happy to move, no debate required.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Happy to second it, no debate.
Any questions? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Item 9.2, the Southern Regional Waste Resource Authority. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move as written.
Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Very quickly, and I know I say that all the time, but I will. Obviously, the constituent report is in there. I wanted to just draw attention to the Green Industry South Australia proposal. They've identified Swara as potentially a site that can take hazardous waste. Now, I know on the surface that sounds like a bad thing, but it's actually a really good thing, because it's a free service that Green Industry South Australia will potentially, they've identified that they would like Swara to consider it. So that would be things like tyres, oils, batteries, so items that we're concerned with in the community that we don't have a place to dump is potentially now going to be a free drop-off point at Swara. So that is something to look forward to. Thank you.
Thank you, and well done on the time. Do I have a seconder? Councillor THEMELIOTIS?
Yes, happy to second, no debate.
Any further questions? Do you wish to close debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. We have now item 10.1, so this is the set of reports of officers, and this begins on page 55, and the first is our draft Inclusive Communities Action Plan. There's no, the updates from staff have been provided, questions already to Councillor THEMELIOTIS. Do I have a mover for this item? Councillor Fisher.
I'll move as written, thanks.
Thank you. Do Councillor Jew, you seconding, or do you have a question?
No, I'm seconding, please.
Go ahead.
I would just like to say that probably of all the action plans that have come to council over the last few years, this has definitely been something that I feel very invested in, and I'm really glad to see that people with disability are going to have targets or options and actions that are real, that council can continue to embed to make the place more accessible for everyone in our community. And the rigour that's gone into this over the last few years, and the development, I think a standout item is the development of a lived experience group of people that can continue to inform council, will get us to where we need to be in the next 10 years. So I think it's a really great effort, and I look forward to seeing it come to life.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard, question or debate?
Just very quick debate.
Go ahead.
Obviously, well aware of time, but just wanted to acknowledge and support this plan. As Councillor Jews just said, I mean, this is a really important plan for an area or a segment of our community that is not as visible, and I mean it looks at what we achieved previously and has added 47 new action points, which I think is It's a big number, and I think that's great. Just shows the commitment to it. One of those is around universal access, and I loved the phrasing, which is around providing access regardless of ability, rather than using the term disability. And I just thought that was a great way to frame so much of this conversation, rather than focusing on a negative, to open it up to all, because I think it allows it to be more of a community focus in that segment.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher, do you wish to close? I'll put the item. All those in favour? Against? And can the minutes say carried unanimously, please? Item 10.2. I think there might be a verbal update for this. Is that correct? And a declaration of interest.
So you just need to declare.
So can I just press the right button? That would be actually the right thing to say.
As per before, just declaring a general conflict of interest based on my membership of a sports club, which is part of one of these facilities.
Thank you. And you're remaining, yes, yeah.
And voting.
Yeah, remaining and voting. Stuart, did you wish to give us an update?
Through the Mayor, just a couple of corrections to the report. On page 137, which is attachment 2, if we can just please note there that that should read that the 50% rate rebate that's being applied for the 25-26 financial year for Wollunga Bowling Club, that is $747.
Yep.
And for the McLaren Vale Bowling Club, it's $2,053. You'll just notice they were in the wrong order in the report. And also, you would have found on your desks earlier a hard copy of attachment 4, which is at page 141 and 142. There's just been a bit of an issue with the how that transcribed across, where there was sort of no ticks or crosses on it. So hopefully that's a version that's better. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Stuart. Do I have someone to open this? Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move as written, Mayor.
Do you wish to debate?
I will debate.
Go ahead.
4 of these 5 community owned sporting facilities are in the Southern Vales ward, so it's probably appropriate that I'm standing here talking about these. I would like to thank Paul and McLaren Vale, Rod, coming today from the McLaren Vale Bowls Club to present their arguments. I know from a number of these groups this advocacy has been going on for a period of time. I know and acknowledge that there are components of this that they are still unhappy with, and all I can do is stand here and try and make commitments that we are working and we are trying to do better than what has been done previously for these community-owned sports clubs. I think there are some important steps that have been taken, and I think that that acknowledgement around the hall subsidy, the irrigation support, and some formalised agreements with regards to toilet cleaning are important. I know that the insurance has been an issue. I attend the Wollunga Rec Park meetings, and I understand that those costs have grown significantly. I do know that Council tried and looked at the opportunities for council insurance policy to be considered, and my understanding is that's a flat no from the LGA insurer, but that we're going to continue to try and see if there is an alternative to that, and it may be that the alternative is better for us, for some of our sporting clubs than just the community-owned ones. I do know that there is some work to go with regards to trying to work on the building maintenance side of it. I think we've sort of got the turf management, we've got the waste management. I do think there is some more work to be done around the bowls clubs, because they're a bit silent early, and now we're starting to hear more of the requirements. I am definitely one of those people that uses the path through the McLaren Vale Bowls Club, probably almost daily, so thank you. But yeah, I think that we've achieved something. I acknowledge that it's not all of what the community clubs would like, but I think that as a council we've actually done something for the community clubs, which I think is a good step.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'd certainly like to second, and it's actually nice to see that one of the areas of the northern part of the city are getting a little bit of additional support. That's been an issue for quite some time with the Cherry Gardens Ironbank Oval. It's the only public available toilet between Mylor, Clarendon and Coromandel Valley, so I'm certainly prepared to second it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Yeomans, a question or debate?
A question.
Go ahead.
Please, just listening to the deputation, they're talking about maintenance and insurance. I can understand the building maintenance side of things when it's not council owned, but with the insurance, you might, just a question I guess on those, do you have any idea what that might be costing the community clubs to insure their facilities?
So as an aggregate across all of them?
Yeah.
Do we know about that? We might need to take that one on notice.
And that's fine. If it's exorbitant, I'm just wondering whether that might be included in some discussions in future.
So perhaps we can bring that back.
Yeah, we can bring that back with the next lot of information.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard, did you just close debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Item 10.3. I don't believe this. I think, no, the only update has been provided in the... Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
Yes, happy to move. Thank you for the questions, responding to questions on notice. And just to say this is the next step. We're going out to engage and have those conversations. I think we already know what the issues are, but let's go engage and get that report back. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
And I'm certainly prepared to second it. Nothing to say.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 10.4. There have been some questions. They have been answered and they're available to everyone. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move as written.
Do you wish to debate?
Just very quickly, and I know I've started one of the others like that. I think it's important, again, to always take the opportunity to try and talk about rates in and trying to help the education around them. This policy doesn't change the amount of rating or rate revenue that, as a council, we're looking to raise. It is simply a policy around how that rating is distributed amongst both commercial properties, vacant properties, residential properties, industrial properties, and I'm missing one because there's 5 categories. And then also how we separate the fixed component that is consistent across everybody, as well as the variable component, which is dependent on your valuation. And it's also another opportunity to talk about the fact that as part of our rating, we collect state government levies, which we pass straight through to the state government. We collect some wastewater coverage for 4,500 of our residents in the CWMS provision. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher.
Happy to second. No need to debate.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans.
Just a couple of questions,
Go
please.
ahead.
On page, 175, there's a discussion there about recovery of outstanding rates. Might not know the questions, but I'd be interested to know what the value is of our outstanding rates.
The value or the percentage?
How much?
Yeah.
What are we,
the dollar value.
Yeah.
Are we able to answer that question? I think the answer is yes, but we're just looking through it.
And I guess the second part of that is whether what's been the increase since, say, the last 5 years or something. So whether we're trending up or it's stabilised.
Yeah, through the Mayor. So our current outstanding rate liability is 11.8 million. We would have to take on notice the change over the last 5 years.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard, did you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 10.5. There's no updates, and this is regarding the land at Brodie Road. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move as written.
Just debate?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So this is a revocation of land in Southern Wales. I think this is a great outcome. This is showing a bit of ability to think outside of the box, or with a bit of flexibility. We're protecting a significant tree, which I think was important. We're protecting a walkway which goes down to a primary school, and yet we are still revoking a piece of land that council doesn't have a great deal of use for. So I think that this is a good outcome.
Thank you. Councillor Dew.
Just to reiterate what Councillor Pritchard
Are
just...
you seconding the motion?
Yes.
Thank you. And debating.
Yes, I am. As Councillor Pritchard's already highlighted, I think the fact that we're going to maintain a footpath to support connectivity and accessibility within the region is fantastic, given so many people within that community are on foot or potentially are in wheelchairs or different mobility devices. And so in our communities, that's such an important thing, and probably translates into the inclusive plan that we've just also endorsed tonight. So thank you for the creativity in making this happen for our community.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans. Debate or question?
It's probably debate, but a bit of question, but you can get the clock going. It won't be long.
Thank you.
On page 182, there's discussion there about and this might not be appropriate for these staff members here, but the net proceeds from the sale, gross proceeds less revocation and disposal costs, will first be applied to the annual revenue target within the long-term financial plan. The use of any proceeds achieved in excess of the annual $3 million target will be guided by a policy position to be brought to the chamber within the next 2 months. So what I'm wondering is, in the drafting and the development of that policy, whether there can be some words around the consideration of capturing some sort of contingency plan. You can see the discussion we've had with the budget, that there's going to be some significant pressure, particularly what's going on globally, and there might be an opportunity for us to park, as part of the policy, park some of the revenue that we've already achieved with the sale of this land to one side, in case we do need it to get through the operations in the following financial year. Obviously, if we did do that, it would be wise to ring fence it. And obviously, if we don't need it, that can get used to pay off debt or whatever there else is in that policy. We're just looking for...
Thank you, Councillor. I'll treat that as input to the elected member session that we've got coming up. The staff have noted it. I was watching them as they wrote that down. So we'll be able to definitely take that on board as part of the discussion. Thank you. Councillor Pritchard, do you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 10.6. There were some updates, but they've all been provided. Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
Yes, happy to move. Elected members, this parcel of land has been leased by the resident already and has been so for a long period of time, so this just makes sense. So I hope you'll support it.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, certainly I support it. It does overcome a bit of a problem for the resident, because they've got a garage in that location that they need the access through. And that particular part of Aberfoyle Park, I walk through it once or twice a week. That's got 3 quite large reserves within 100 metres of this property, and certainly the resident maintains their frontage of their property extremely well, and all the other houses around that particular location, it actually shows up other parts of Aberfoyle Park, but I certainly support it.
Thank you. Councillor THEMELIOTIS, do you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 10.7. Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
To move the motion and just say that Cherry Gardens Soldier Memorial Park is a very significant park in Cherry Gardens and my wider community in Thalassa. I want to thank council staff for bringing this report together and being so informed with the information and the opportunity to provide the generator for the group is well appreciated, so really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll certainly second it. Just one little correction. There is no organisation, Cherry Gardens RSL. And in fact, what I'm trying to do is to get Morphett Vale RSL to pick it up within their ambit, as well as Coromandel Valley. But certainly it's a good outcome and certainly more cost effective, and they can actually use it at other locations, and certainly residents on the committees and what have you are very supportive of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. I did particularly like the information about the power bank. That was good to know. Item 10.8, Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
Yes, happy to move, speak really briefly on this. Elected members, this is just a next step. This is giving council staff, it doesn't say in here, but I'm going to give them around 12 months to do a little bit of more investigation work. This is supported by the board at Coromandel Community Centre and also supported by Coromandel Ramblers, so I hope you'll support it.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Certainly second it, nothing to say.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Now we come to item 10.9, so we're on page 285, if those people are following along online or digitally. Councillor Yeomans.
Yeah, so I'll move this, please, and just have a quick debate.
Go ahead.
As I mentioned back in October when the motion was carried to go out for public consultation on this, we already have permanent bollards installed on some of our public beaches, including Woodlea Beach and Moana. These bollards are installed to prevent vehicles from driving along the beach at designated locations, to enhance public safety and to protect the wildlife and environment. As we now know, Sellicks Beach also has a designated no vehicle zone located approximately 600 metres south of the ramp, with the installation of a clearly worded sign on the beach. Despite this, residents approached both Councillor Dew and myself as they regularly notice vehicles driving along the beach into this no vehicle zone. These residents were advocating for the installation of permanent bollards to prevent vehicles driving along the beach in the no vehicle zone, to reduce the risk of harm to the public, wildlife and environment. The installation of permanent bollards would also provide a consistency along our beaches. Community consultation on this proposal was conducted for 2 months over the summer period, with the vast majority of participants supporting the installation of permanent bollards at Sellicks Beach. Having reviewed the attached community engagement report, most of those not supporting this proposal were concerned about the visual impact and suggesting the use of natural barriers such as large boulders. This point, as you can see, has been addressed in the report. It mentions that alternative materials such as large rocks were considered as a replacement for timber bollards, but were deemed unsuitable due to the tidal action and significant sand movement experienced. In locations such as Sellicks Beach and Woodlea Beach, strong wave energy and shifting sand would require rocks in the order of 2 to 4 tonnes to remain stable. Rocks of this size would disrupt the natural coastal processes by causing sand to accumulate on one side of the rocks and erode on the other. In contrast, round timber bollards allow water and sand to move around them, reducing wave pressure against the posts and maintaining the natural tidal and sediment movement of the beach. And the report also just touched on the design, saying the design includes a supply and installation of 29 timber bollards and a 3 metre wide gate, installed for maintenance and for emergency access. To put this into context, if you drive down the ramp at Sellicks Beach onto the beach and turn north, you can travel along the beach for about 3 kilometres before you reach Silver Sands at Woodlea. If you drive down the ramp at Sellicks Beach and turn south, you can keep driving south for about 600 metres, where you can stop and park and enjoy the beach. The remaining 300 metres or so is declared a prohibited zone that is signed appropriately and no vehicles are permitted to drive past the sign. This is where we're looking to install these bollards. Erecting permanent bollards will simply enhance public safety and better protect the wildlife and environment. The public will be able to walk along the beach without the worry of being hit by a vehicle that is completely disregarded or not seen the no vehicle sign. I just urge you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Dew.
I'd like to second it, please, and then debate.
Go ahead.
First of all, I think this is an absolute testament to local residents who probably were one of the first groups of people that emailed Paul and I, Councillor Yeomans and I, when we first became elected, and they have persisted throughout this process and for the last few years. Just in relation to what Councillor Yeomans already highlighted, just the data. So we had 193 survey responses over those last few years. 75% of those were in support and 21% were not supporting. We've heard stories around children and near misses, people not being able to go for a calm walk along the beach, in concern with cars going by, and then obviously people just not adhering to existing rules. So it just seems like a no-brainer given people shouldn't be accessing the site already or the space already. As one resident said in the community feedback, that they're so sick of people not respecting the no vehicle zone. Bollards is the only way. Should have happened a long time ago. So this is our opportunity to do something for the community.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, a question or debate?
Debate, thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'm going to support the motion, but I just want to note that it's a little bit sad we're spending $26,000 on people not being able to do the right thing, even though there's signs already there. Disappointing.
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans, did you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 10.10, so this is page 329. Do I have a mover? Looks like this motion is lapsing. We will... Oh, Councillor Pritchard.
I'm happy to move as written.
Okay. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Stafford.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Did you wish to speak? No. Councillor Fisher. Oh, Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
Thank you. I will debate. No surprises. I'm against this. This report goes to an issue that councillors hear about repeatedly from community about our green waste drop-off service. Time and time again, residents raise the same request with us: bring back some level of free green waste drop-off service. Not unlimited access, but a small number of free tokens each year to help our residents dispose of green waste responsibly. And I think it's more important that we acknowledge what sits behind that. Across our city, residents do an enormous amount of work that directly benefit our council and broader community. Our residents maintain verges, council trees, maintain the front of their homes, they trim vegetation, they manage overhanging branches and clean up green waste that often comes from council's land itself. In many ways, our residents are our partners in maintaining the appearance and safety of our neighbourhoods. The reality is that our council is very vast. It stretches from hills to coast. Council contractors simply can't be everywhere at once. And the truth is that great deal of day-to-day care of our streetscapes is undertaken by our residents themselves. We should be encouraging that behaviour, not discouraging that behaviour. We also know that illegal dumping already costs ratepayers around $500,000 each year. When disposal options become harder, more expensive, and the risk, it's the risk to our residents that they might do the wrong decision. Surely there's a better approach to educate, advocate, and provide incentives for people to do the right thing. A small allocation of free green waste drop-off tokens would do exactly that. It would recognise the contribution that our residents already make and would encourage responsible disposal of green waste. It would also help reduce the risk of illegal dumping that ultimately costs our council and community. Unfortunately, this report doesn't deliver on what many residents have been asking for. Instead, it simply asks us to continue to do the same thing again without exploring any middle ground options. The possibility of the recommendation having 2 passes or 4 passes. Yes, having those costings, and yes, having the fact that that would have an increase to rates, but having that detail there so we could at least have the option. For those reasons, I can't support the recommendation as it stands. I believe council should be seriously looking at a token-based system that supports our residents, encourages responsible behaviour, and encourages our role that community plays in maintaining our city. We need to provide incentives that allow people to do the right thing and not encourage illegal dumping.
Thank you. Councillor Davis, question or debate?
Question. Can I ask a question and then offer an amendment?
You can have a go. Do you ask the question first? Let's see how we go.
Okay. The question is, if we say that, can it be extended to any time of the month that they drop it off rather than just that first week?
Through the Mayor. Through previous negotiations with the contractor, that was not their preference. They also run a business themselves, which have obviously ingoings and outgoings and commercial arrangements for other periods of the months. We can ask the question, but due to the fact that there's only been a short period of time of this model, They may not be, I guess, overly thrilled in committing to an extension, but we can ask.
Okay, so I probably can't make the decision today. So can I now debate?
You can debate.
Okay. I too have had lots of queries about the green waste, but I think the numbers are really adding up. I think the fact that there's only the 2,000 tokens across the 180,000 plus people, I think the increase from 51% to 61% on the curbside organics is indicating that we're changing that behaviour, that we're turning the corner, that we're making it, people are thinking a little bit more about it, they're using the other options available. At 61%, we've still got curbside capacity. That reduces the need for this. So I think as a community and setting that target, we've really supported residents in making some different choices. We're sort of turning the corner now, so I think we support this and stay the course, but I'll investigate opening it up for the whole month.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Pritchard, would you like to close? Oh, sorry, Councillor Yeomans.
Just a quick
Apologies,
debate.
a question or debate?
Just a quick debate,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I'll support this, and just a couple of things in the report where it sort of says at the moment, with this particular model, it's been fully funded by the users of the system. And just to make a point, very similar to the discussion I had with residents when this model first was approached when we were doing our budget repair. This isn't a free service. If we undo what we've done before with that decision, we're going to have to find something like $400,000 to balance the budget. So this isn't, it's free to the people that we're using the system, but it's not free for the broader ratepayers, and I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard, did you wish to close? Go ahead.
I just would like to reiterate those comments regarding the trends that we're seeing and continuing to see that statistically we haven't seen a drastic increase in illegal dumping, and we have seen an improved presentation rate in green bins, which still has a significant amount of capacity available to it, and we want to continue that trend because we want to try and push that green waste even further and potentially into a weekly service. So the reason we did this was for budget repair, and I think that's been demonstrated as being a great outcome for the community. So I think there's no reason to change what we're doing, because what we've done is has had an improvement on our budget, and we're starting to see a trend in behaviours which is really positive on the green waste.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motions. You may call for a division. Councillor THEMELIOTIS has called for division. So all those in favour, please stand. Councillor Platten, Davis, Fisher, Pritchard, Stafford, Dew, Yeomans, Eaton, and against? THEMELIOTIS. Thank you very much. Item 10.11, the Communication and Engagement Plan. There's no updates as I understand it. Councillor Eaton.
I'm prepared to move it, yes.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the
No,
motion?
there's really no need to. It explains what's going to happen. And
Thank you. And a seconder. Councillor Platten.
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. Do you wish to speak? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item 10.12, which is page 357. This is regarding the Hills and Fleurieu Regional Landscape Plan. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move as written.
Thank you.
Just very quickly, these landscape groups are very important to us, particularly in the urban areas the rural areas with the roadside weed management. There is a bit in the response regarding that. There's still some work to do with the landscape boards as to how we can do a lot better with our roadside weeds. So happy to support this attachment to go there, noting that there's some wording in there about how we need to continue that roadside weed management.
Thank you. And Councillor Davis, are you seconding the motion?
Seconding it, and just briefly saying I liked all the references to the collaboration, especially the stewardship of some of this, and then the uniform data management that we can use.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard, you should close. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. And good to have your CFS knowledge to help us on that one, Councillor. Item 10.13, policy leasing and licensing of council community land and assets. It's 375. Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
Can I ask a quick question first?
Go ahead.
Can you just remind me from the questions on notice, is this going to be reviewed in 2 years? Is that right? The review of this policy is going to be a bit sooner?
Was
that accurate?
Yeah, there's a proposition that that's possible. I don't know if it was a decision.
Okay, then can I ask the question?
It's in the policy. Sorry,
is-
just let me just double check instead of me pretending I know.
Yeah, through the chair, we've certainly indicated that in the draft policy that's in the agenda, but it could also be reviewed earlier if there's a reason to do that.
But currently 2 years?
2 years.
Yes. All right, happy to move, no debate required.
A second. Do I have someone? Thank you, Councillor Eaton.
Yeah, nothing to say.
Councillor Pritchett. Nobody wants to talk anymore. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you for clarifying that, Councillor THEMELIOTIS. Item 10.14, and I think we've got an update. Is that correct? I'm up to the right one? Yep. There were some questions earlier, and I believe there's an update from staff as well. Go ahead.
Through the Mayor, I just wanted to provide some additional information for elected members. So I'm pleased to let Council know that we have a really well-established program of targeting suburbs that have low canopy cover already, and this has been very successful, award-winning in fact, and it's actually seen 5 of our suburbs with really low canopy cover move out of the lowest category, which is under 10% canopy cover, so that's a really good achievement. I did just want to add that when we did the modelling for plantable spaces, it did actually include parks in that modelling. And also, as far as we can tell, where our current targets and the revised targets are not the lowest in Australia, or even I think South Australia. And I would add that Coomera has actually been a leader. In fact, we were, I think, the first council to do canopy mapping with a flyover. So just wanted to add that additional information for elected members.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard.
I'd like to move a different motion, which Sue may have up there.
Okay, so just letting everyone see that, because otherwise they have not had a chance to do that. Is that what you have put through?
Yep.
Go ahead.
So, councillors, obviously, well, not obviously, we've been asked to update our council targets based on following the GARP recommendations, which is great because we were here a couple of years ago and we debated the 20% increase of urban cover and whether that really meant going from 13 to 19 or whether we were trying to get to a specific number. So I guess the clarity across Adelaide is an improvement from the GARP, and so from in that, I think that it's great that we've got a consistent measure. My concern was that we as a chamber have got a community vision which has 4 themes, one of which is environment, and another one is leadership. And so I really wanted to try and work out how we can combine those 2 themes in a more visible way with regards to our tree canopy cover. I would like to note that we've done quite a bit of work with regards to this 100,000 trees by 2037. I've had some correspondence back and forward with administration. We're well ahead of our target, and I think that if we're ahead of the target, let's just keep pushing on as fast as we can, rather than settling for it. So I wasn't happy that we were settling, and that is the word I would say. We were settling for that same target, and we were sort of hoping or saying that we would just continue on, and then if we got there early, we would then start planting additional trees. But that's not written down anywhere, so I guess my point two there is to say let's change that 100,000 to 150,000 by 2037. In talking with administration, we had 8,000 trees planted last year. Yes, that's 4,000 above what we were planning on because there were some other environmental projects, the SEBs, Sustainable Environment something, and they're a lot to do with road projects where we have to go and plant additional trees in other areas, and we've got the creek projects. Now we've got those going, the creek projects going for another few years, so there's going to be additional trees from that, I'm hoping, towards this, and if there's not, well, let's just put them in anyway. And then trying to clarify that 125,000 tree number and what that really meant with regards to the total number, because we'd already planted some, and so I think I had clarification in the notices before the meeting that the total number is sort of 190,000 from when we started in 2017, and so putting in the additional 40,000 after 2037 to get that up to 2055, noting that these are an approximate number. The detailed information around that hasn't been conducted. Also like to thank Councillor Dew for the additional points in part one around, you know, we moved a new open space strategic management plan that talked about when we retire a reserve from playground equipment, we're going to fill it with trees, but we need to start doing some work on what that looks like. So part one, the 3 dot points there are really trying to highlight those components. And then, yeah, the last dot point is on that as well. So I hope that we can support this, be a bit more of a leader. I know that it doesn't change the tree canopy number, but hopefully by planting more trees, obviously we get more canopy. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dew. A question? Debate?
Question, please.
Are you seconding it?
I'd like to question first. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. It's going to be a messy question, so please bear with me. Just taking into consideration what the deputation raised in terms of timeframes. So we're talking, 29 years away, and we've already seen we're doing work around coastal adaptation. We're seeing what's happening to our coastal environment. Many would say that it's because of climate change and the impact of that. And I just wonder if, as Councillor Pritchard's already highlighted, we're on track, we planted more last year. If there's potentially opportunity for review of this, if we're successful, why would we maintain something that is low-hanging fruit rather than, that was a Councillor Pat moment, than actually, continuing to be ambitious and continuing to strive for more, because that's what our community wants.
So could these targets be considered bare minimum for review?
That is very succinct, yes.
Are we able to take that question now, or would you want to think on that and come back?
Darren, I can give it a go.
Okay.
Through the Mayor, it's a complicated equation, I would say. Certainly the evidence shows that the very best canopy that we can hope for is from existing trees. So the trees that are already there and already well established, and a lot of those are on private land, and private land makes up the majority of our city. So if it was really about setting a bare minimum, we'd probably want to take into account what Council's proportion of the overall aim is.
Thank you. Do you want to add something?
And just to add to that, through the Mayor, with new plantings, it does take time to obviously establish. So anything between sort of 5 to 10 years until we're sort of up around that 3 metre mark, which I guess is when it first starts to be identified as part of canopy cover. But it's probably until it gets to 15 to 20 years until we sort of get that semi-mature tree that starts to widen. Then we actually start to get some true canopy cover. So it's really that sort of trees that we've already got 15 to 20 years already planted that we're going to get the biggest growth in over that sort of shorter period of time. So that's, I guess, understanding that pruning works and removals obviously have a big impact on that. So that's why I have a risk-based approach, I guess, for pruning. So it's not necessarily the planting of the trees that will see increase the canopy cover for a number of years, potentially up to 15 to 20 years. It's really that sort of semi-mature canopy cover that we've got now that will make the biggest difference. So it's about protecting what we've already got.
Thank you. I'm also just listening to what you've said. I think about biodiversity and the how we intend to do this. And I wondered, I know I've put forward before some ideas around like a biodiversity plan or something like that. Like I wonder if there is any consideration, we don't need documents for documents' sake, but any consideration as to writing up, or if it already exists, around how we might actually embed this into our
I think
processes.
that sounds like a bigger policy piece outside of the motion, but it's I'm going to take that on notice, because I think you're asking for something that is beyond the scope, because it's taking us into other policy areas like biodiversity, etc. So,
so if
do you want to try and narrow it?
Absolutely happy to.
Have a go at that.
The implementation plan for the implementation of this. Have we got one, or could one be developed?
So, yeah, could one be developed over what kind of timeline?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Have a go.
Through the Mayor, if in the performance measures associated with the proposed targets here, there is some items related to biodiversity incorporated in there for consideration, but sort of the relationship between biodiversity and tree planting is not necessarily straightforward. So, you know, council can put forward any motion they wish for strategies and those sort of things, but it's not necessarily something that is reflected deeply in the strategy, I would say.
Thank you. Do you wish to debate or second the
Yeah,
motion?
I'm happy to second.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And I'll debate. So to me, this motion sets out the kind of city we want to leave behind, a cooler, greener, more livable city. I'm sure if we asked any resident in Onkaparinga if they have a memory of a tree, they would share the height, the trunk, the tree they sat under, or even climbed as a child. Trees aren't just nice to have, but they have significant health benefits and enhance the biodiversity of our neighbourhoods. We have declared a climate emergency and been acknowledged as a tree city, and these are great initiatives, but not actions that can be measured unless we just tick the box that we've done it, which is great. But our community wants leadership and action, and this is a way forward. By supporting this motion, we're also taking a step towards greater equity across our community. I acknowledge there are concerns like costs, water use and maintenance. These are valid considerations, but they're not the reasons to avoid action. They are reasons to plan properly, and I have absolute faith in the staff to do this. The cost of inaction is far greater: increased health risks, higher energy use, declining ecosystems. These are costs our community will continue to bear if we don't act. I hope we can leave our region in a better shape than we found it. This includes increased canopy and increased biodiversity for all creatures, big and small.
Thank you. Councillor Fisher.
Answer question first.
Go ahead.
So I support this motion. Okay, that's debate, and I'll leave it there. My question is,
well spotted.
What is lacking is, as was identified by the deputy earlier tonight, council are only responsible for part of the urban canopy. What are the plans, or what have we got in place, or what could we look to put in place that would engage the community greatly, where we can measure how many trees are planted in suburban houses and things like that, private property?
So, do you want to have a go at that? I know we do have put a pin in the map for encouraging people when they do plant trees, so that we get a bit of a sense. So there is potential for a community campaign around that, but I'll give the staff an opportunity to respond as well.
Through the Mayor, in terms of council programs specifically to encourage community to plant on private land, I guess one of our really successful events, which came from a nom from the Chamber, is our annual tree giveaway, which is linked to what the Mayor was referring to, where we're asking people, you know, when they got their tree to map it so we know it's being planted. And I would say at the very highest level, when we do the canopy capture, that includes planting on private land as well, so we can really track the decline and loss.
You've got another question?
Oh, sorry, Daryl was going to add.
Oh, go on.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, and I guess the way we also engage with the community is through our Adopt a Tree program as well. So give some, incentive for local residents to want to have extra trees planted either on council land, and I guess there's opportunities to be able to look at what impact that could be for some private planting as well. So for us, it's really the cost of the establishment and then the ongoing maintenance that sometimes makes it difficult from a tree planting program point of view. So to have that input from the community actually helps us expand our canopy.
And those numbers are included? Yes? Thank you.
Councillor Davis, a question or debate?
Thank you, Mayor. Debate then question?
Which one? Do you want to go first? The question?
Yeah, the question is quite a personal one. I know the Adopt a Fruit Tree finishes soon, but I also know there was limited opportunities. Is there still opportunities? Am I too late?
You might need to get an email about that. Or you know the answer.
Through the men, I did have to phone a friend though. Yes, there are still opportunities available now.
I'll put my request in very soon. Now just a debate. I think we're doing really, really well. I think community changes with a bit of carrot and a bit of stick. I think we're doing really remarkably well on the carrot. We're putting it all out there. We're giving them opportunities. I think this is starting to bring the stick into place where we start setting the targets, making it more encouraging for everyone to get on board. So I'm really appreciative of the extra whack of the stick to help it get along.
Thank you. Councillor THEMELIOTIS. Question or debate?
A question. Would the mover and seconder consider the 2055 year, bringing that in sooner in line with what the deputation was suggesting today? Is there any sooner? Or have a staged out approach? I'll sit down.
So the word by is in there, so you can reach it earlier, which I think was the point that we heard from an earlier debater. Do you want to add?
No, well, would the mover or seconder consider bringing that in?
Would the mover or seconder
45,
consider that?
2045.
To bring it forward?
Even though it does say.
I'm sorry, my issue, which I have no issues with bringing it forward other than I don't know the science of how 2055 became, and like we can't, well, we might be able to make a tree grow faster, but I don't know.
I think it is the speed of the tree, as we heard earlier with the canopy cover. They take years to grow.
So I would like to bring it forward, but I don't know how to make it go
and
faster.
Just for the
Through
record,
the chair, sorry.
yes, and for the record, that the date is part of, I think, the GARP, the Greater Adelaide Regional Plan, which so it's set by the state government. So it is an alignment and consistent with that. So, Councillor THEMELIOTIS, do you wish to?
Yeah, I'll debate really briefly.
Okay.
And I know Councillor Pritchard's done a lot of work and Councillor Dew's done a lot of work, and I will actually debate a little bit against this, and it's not the intent that they're trying to do, but time and time again we heard from our deputation around setting really ambitious targets. Now, we may not get to those targets, but if we don't set a strong foundation, then what are we fighting for? And I think that's what his deputation was around, urgency and setting those ambitious targets. And when we set those ambitious targets, unfortunately at council, we just think of it about council. Well, when we set, when I want to see ambitious targets, I want to see it's an ambitious target for our community. It's not just about council land and council verges and council's open space. It's about residents, it's about commercial, it's about developments that happen in our area. It's a collective thing for our community. So I understand the intent, and I thank the work of elected members to bring on more trees, but I really would have liked to have seen maybe council staff go back, do a little bit more work and look at a staged approach where we do end up with that 40% by 2040.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
It's really just a couple of questions. So the trees that we give away at the citizenship ceremony, so last night we probably gave away, 150 odd trees. Yep. Are they included in these figures?
Through the Mayor, they're not included as part of our planting numbers, so not included as part of the 4,000 that we plant, no.
Okay, and the other question, of course, was an observation. On Saturday I had the pleasure of attending the opening of the playground at in the Hickabotham estate at Port Woodlanda South. And I took a wander, and we hear the stories about these new developments that have crammed houses in, but I noticed there's a lot of trees actually being planted in the streets there. Are we taking into account those trees?
Through the Mayor, yes, those trees as part of developments and new areas that are handed over to Council are part of the canopy cover numbers that we provide.
Okay. And also, I mean, I do consider the need for deciduous trees in certain locations. Living in an area with a lot of large gum trees, I'm actually seeing a lot of branches come down. And we made a lot of mistakes in the 70s and the early 80s in that we put infrastructure in around these trees, or we as residents actually put the wrong trees in, which now they're protected and they create a bit of a problem. Just the reserve opposite me, a big branch came down 2 weeks ago, just over 2 weeks ago. It took us 2 weeks to clean it up. Fortunately, that night the wind was coming from the east. But on the street on the other side of that one, about 4, 5, 6 weeks, 7 weeks before, fortunately the wind came from the west and the tree ended up not hitting the house. But there's those risks that we need to be very mindful of. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Pritchard, do you wish to close debate? Go ahead.
Thank you for the support and thank you for the conversation, and I appreciate it. One thing I failed to mention at the start was obviously by increasing the planting numbers, there is a cost associated with that. We heard about that in the deputation. What I'm hopeful for is that we have an established long-term financial plan which has some costs in there and some assumptions around things like electricity contracts going into the future, water pricing going into the future, and waste costs going into the future. I'm hopeful that we can find an electricity contract that is a solar contract potentially that can erode some of that assumption, that we can get some more recycled water into our system that can reduce some of our water costs, and that if we as residents can continue to reduce our waste to landfill, then we can bring down our waste costs, and maybe some of those savings can go towards the maintenance of these trees.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion's carried. Thank you, everyone. I am noting that we are now past 8:30, where we're in. I'm required to remind you that if we want to take a break, we need to have a motion to that effect, or if you'd like to keep going, I'd need an indication for that. Councillor Fisher.
I move we have a break.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Pritchard?
Second.
Okay, I will put the motion. All those in favour? Against? All right. Thank you, councillors. We will recommence our meeting. We're up to item 10:15, and we do have a quorum, so everyone's ready to go. And I think we've got the recording back on. Yes, we have. Excellent. Item 10:15, Councillor THEMELIOTIS, are you moving that motion? Item 10:15, do I have a mover? Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
I think just to let the public know, we've had an elected member session on this. I think it's a useful update given the gap that was between Mayor and Deputy Mayor and adding in those sort of components into it, so I think it's fine.
Thank you. Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll second it, and it certainly takes care of those issues that were raised. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor THEMELIOTIS. Question or debate?
I'll debate. Elected members, I'm going to debate against this motion. In the workshop, some specific information was requested. The information delivered didn't line up, and I can't speak about it because it was confidential, but I believe I'm still not fully informed, so I won't be supporting the motion.
Councillor Pritchard, you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion's carried. Thank you. Item 10:16 regarding, sorry, I've lost my spot here, electronic media protocols. No, yes, that's right. That's page 457, is that right? Do I have a mover for this, please? Everyone's excited about electronic communications. Thank you, Councillor Eaton.
Yes, I'll move it. It certainly sets out the guidelines for people to follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
No.
I'll put the motion. Councillor Eaton, do you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 1017, Audit and Risk Committee, page 505. Councillor Yeomans, this is a wonderful opportunity for you as well. Councillor Pritchard.
Happy to move as written.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
There was, just to let the council know that we're just introducing a maximum term for the independent members, which the independent members themselves think is a good idea.
That's good to hear. Councillor Yeomans.
Yeah, I'll second. I was trying to beat Councillor Pritchard, but he's hot on the buzzer tonight. So.
It's a question of who's best on the basketball court tonight, I think. Do you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, everyone. And thanks very much to the work that Councillor Pritchard and Councillor Yeomans do on our Audit and Risk Committee. It's really deeply appreciated. Item 1018, the Council and Reporting Schedule, page 515. Councillor Eaton.
I'll move as written. Nothing to say. It sets everything out. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Platten.
Happy to second.
Thank you. Any further questions? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We now move into the questions on notice. So just for everyone's information, these start on page 523. If they're not already in the agenda, they will be answered in the minutes. I just want to remind people who may be listening or in the gallery, as well as elected members, that questions on notices can come from any source, and that the councillor sees fit to bring it to the chamber. And in this case, the question on notice 11.4 from Councillor Eaton came via Onkaparinga Council Watch's Substack subscription. So I think it says Facebook group, but it's Substack subscription, just letting people know. So they're all in the record for you and in the minutes. We now move to the items, motions on notice. Item 12.1, Councillor THEMELIOTIS motion regarding long-term vehicle storage. Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
Thank you. Happy to move and debate.
This
notice of motion goes directly to an issue that many of us hear about regularly from our residents across the city: the long-term storage of vehicles on public roads. Time and again, residents contact councillors about the same situation: a vehicle parked on our street for weeks, sometimes months, rarely moving, occupying valuable public space and creating frustration for people who actually live in the area. The concern is not simply just inconvenience. It affects neighbourhood amenity, street access, and community confidence that local government has the ability to respond when something clearly isn't right. The reality is that our current legislation leaves councils largely powerless in these situations. Unless a vehicle can be formally classified as abandoned, there is often very little council can do. And even when it's obvious to residents that the public street is effectively being used as long-term storage yard. Public roads exist for shared community use and not for indefinite storage of private vehicles. Other jurisdictions have recognised this challenge and have moved to address it. In New South Wales, for example, they have clear timeframes and enforcement mechanisms that exist to allow councils to act where vehicles are left unattended for extended periods. And importantly, this issue is not unique to the city of Onkaparinga. Councils across South Australia are facing the same frustrating issues from their communities. That is why this motion is both sensible and it's necessary. It does not seek to create new rules locally overnight. Instead, it asks that we advocate for a legislative reform so councils across the state have a clear and more practical tools to manage these situations. Because ultimately, this is about fairness. Residents should not feel that their streets are being overtaken by long-term vehicle storage with no practical pathway or resolution. Public roads are there as a shared community asset, and our laws should reflect that. For those reasons, I ask you to support this motion to advocate.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
I'd like to second this motion. I think this is a community-wide concern. I think the state government has indicated that they have a plan, but I really support our letter going to advocate for it to be a swift fix to the issue.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Platten, a question or debate?
Debate, please.
Go
Mayor.
ahead.
I'm always an advocate for a letter to be sent by the Mayor to one of our members of Parliament, so I'll be very supportive of this.
Thank you for your consistency. Councillor Pritchard.
Just wanted to debate in support of this. There is a well-known entrance to McLaren Vale that has 3 caravans parked on it that have been there for a very long time. I've had lots and lots of phone calls about them. There is nothing we can do about it as a council other than trying to introduce paid, or not paid parking, but parking restrictions on that road, which wouldn't make sense, just to try and move on some of these vehicles. So thank you.
Councillor Themeliottis, do you wish to close? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. And you can all look forward to my correspondence. Item 12.2, future considerations for council sponsorship. Councillor Themeliottis.
Yes, thank you. Happy to move the motion and debate.
Go ahead.
This notice of motion has been driven directly by voices in our community. Residents across the city of Onkaparinga are increasingly asking a very simple question. If our council is taking climate change seriously through our policies and planning, should we also be thinking about how our public assets are used and with sponsorship and advertising? Before I go any further, I want to acknowledge the significant work this council has already undertaken in this space through a climate change response plan, building a resilience in our communities, our adopted tree, our 1 tree per child, our Tree City of the World, our algal bloom advocacy and leadership, from trolley rodeos, and we've undertaken meaningful steps to reduce corporate emissions, supporting community emission reductions, investing in renewables, and expanding our urban tree canopy coverage and strengthening climate resilience across our region. Those commitments are real. They reflect the work done by our council staff, by elected members, and our community. But leadership also requires consistency. Our community expects that decisions we make about how public infrastructure is used and who we partner with and what we promote on council-owned assets align with our strategic direction that we have adopted. This motion simply asks council to start considering that alignment. Importantly, it doesn't tear up existing contracts. It doesn't prevent council from participating in major events that showcase our beautiful region. And it doesn't interfere with sponsorship arrangements that are controlled by the state or national bodies that deliver those events. What it does say is that when council controls the asset and the decision, we at least will consider whether advertising and sponsorship arrangements are consistent with the environmental commitments we have made. Across Australia and internationally, this conversation is already happening. And here in Onkaparinga, our community is asking us to have that conversation too. The motion doesn't impose an immediate blanket rule. Instead, it takes measured steps, an approach to make this come to life. It ensures that we continue to position the city of Onkaparinga as a leader in this space and that we ensure that the use of our public assets reflect the values and expectations of the community we represent. For those reasons, I strongly ask you to support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Davis.
I'm happy to second. Although there's no evidence that this is happening at the moment, I think this puts us on the front foot and it matches and amplifies our previous decisions we've made in the chamber.
Thank you. Councillor Pritchard.
I'm going to speak against this one. I understand the intent. I understand the concern from the community around greenwashing, sports washing, and items like that. I know that there is concern around social licence and whether social licence is a good thing or social licence is an opportunity to try and get the community on side for something that's not as positive. My concern around this one is that a lot of these companies are energy companies. We need an energy transition, and some of these companies that we're probably talking about are going to be companies that we want to, in the future, to be the ones providing a different solution. I'm also concerned about the unintended consequences of some of these decisions around some of our South Australian companies, and the impact it has on local employment or local employees of that company. To effectively blacklist some of these is going to then send a message to those people that the company that they work for is bad. And then, how does that make the community feel if that person has to keep that job at that location? So I understand the intent, and I understand. I'm just conflicted with tobacco advertising. Seems obvious when you look back upon it. I'm not quite there yet with regards to some of these companies when I consider that the energy issues that we need to get to are going to be driven by some of these large companies that have dipped a toe in the water in certain areas, have looked to promote some of these different technologies in other areas. And I'm just concerned by some of the messaging that then sends the community. Yes, it sends an environmental message to the community, but I'm concerned about some of the other parts of messaging that it sends to the community.
Councillor. Councillor THEMELIOTIS, do you wish to close?
To address some of those concerns, I want elected members to close your eyes and for a second imagine a community centre or a library, something that's a council asset, and imagine what that would be like having certain advertising on that asset. That's what we're talking, that's the visual. That's the visual of what I'm talking about with you. I'm not talking about all infrastructure across our city. I'm talking about assets that we own and control. And also it says considers, so council staff will be able to navigate that space. I also will mention that this motion has gone through the CEO, it's gone through council staff and the Mayor, and there's been some oversight on this motion, and there's been some very supportive feedback. I'll also draw your attention to the questions on notice on this, where we have clear answers from council staff on what we can and can't do. The direction was very, very clear there. I also want to mention that this is driven not by me. I mean, I love to take credit for things, but this is driven by my community. I'm not the brainchild behind this. So the people that I need to thank are Darcey, Lisa, Isaac, for your time, support and advice, and our community leaders who live in my ward, Trish and Ian. I'm going to dedicate this motion to you, because without people standing up who care for our community, not only today, but our community in 30 years' time, we wouldn't have what we already have. So elected members, I hope you will support this motion, back residents in our community who are sitting here in the chamber, and do something that's quite small in considering all the other actions we've already taken as a council. Let our actions speak louder than our words.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion's carried. Thank you. Gallery, I will ask the gallery to be quiet, please. Can we stand for people who are for the motion? Platten, Davis, Stafford, THEMELIOTIS, Dew and Eaton, and against Yeomans, Pritchard, Fisher. Thank you, everyone. Item 12.3. Councillor Yeomans.
Yes, obviously going to move the motion. Can I just ask a couple of questions?
Go ahead.
Please. Just with the respect to the development application and letters being sent to the residents, if you don't understand it, I know it's a planning question, I guess, but what's the requirement within this proximity of the hall where you had to send the letters? Or is there a legislative...
Is there a requirement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've heard 40 metres, 60 metres.
Sure.
Through the Mayor, legislatively, public notification through the DA process requires neighbours within 60 metres to be directly notified by letter.
Yep.
And then the application put publicly on our website, so not on our website, on the Planning SA website, so in theory, anybody can make a submission outside of that 60 metres, even though they're not directly notified.
Thank you. Just two more questions before I start. Just in the informal questions that we were given a fair few of today, one of them was a question that I was asked, can administration clarify, and this is in relation to the questions on notice in relation to 12 point, this item. They weren't my questions. Can administration clarify whether any modifications, procurement or implementation steps have proceeded on the basis of an assumed outcome before the development application process has concluded? The response was the outcome of the development application has not been presumed. So my question, I was just wondering how that goes in context with the council report back in November, where it clearly states that timelines and next steps, May 1, 26, Community Food Hub opens.
Through the Mayor, initially when we drafted that report and based on the timelines within the tender process, we had a delivery date of the 1st of May. Obviously, that time has now slipped. The funding announcement wasn't made until the 17th of February. So obviously, we're now subject to the development application process and through the parallel community engagement to understand community's concerns.
Yeah, if I can just tease that out a little bit. That's all well and good, but we did know there was going to be a development application occurring. I'm just wondering why we'd put a date in there when we don't know the outcome of the development application process, but we've still publicly declared that we're going to open the food hub. I'm just wondering why you've got that response in the questions on the informal questions that there was the outcome of the development application has not been presumed, yet even before we've even started the process, we've put in that date that we're going to open it on the 1st.
Sure. Through the Mayor, the tender process requested that all community food hubs be opened by the 1st of May as part of that tender. So that is why the date is linked to the tender process.
Okay. Thank you. Just one more question, please. And in relation to it's another planning one. In relation to the Council Assessment Panel, will the reports prepared by the administration for the Council Assessment Panel in relation to this include information regarding the previous activities undertaken by Council to either rezone or change the use of the facility?
Through the Mayor, only in the sense that it forms background to the site use, not in the sense that it provides any guidance on assessment, because the regulations and policies have changed substantially since.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Okay, start now if I can. Yeah. What this motion is all about is giving the residents who live in proximity to the hall and therefore those who will be greatly impacted on this service a voice. So far they feel they have not been asked or therefore heard. I was absent for the council meeting on 11th November 25, but I'm sure you'll recall council was presented with a report on this matter and approved the establishment of an Onkaparinga Community Food Hub social supermarket at Hastings Street Hall, Seaford, subject to a funding arrangement. Council also noted that the sale of the food at the Community Food Hub and the proposed modifications at the hall will trigger a development application. And I mentioned before, the council report also noted the timelines in relation to the hall being closed for modifications between February and April and the May 21 grand opening. As we know, the funding arrangement has been successful. This development application requires public notification that this process is currently underway. Some residents, depending on how close they live to the hall, and we've heard within 60 metres, it's a legislative requirement that they're advised as to what the proposal is at the hall. They started receiving correspondence through this process about 3 weeks ago. Since then, I've been contacted separately by over a dozen residents, either by phone or email, complaining they were not aware of Council's proposed community food hub. This is despite Council's activities over the last 6 months or so to establish one. These residents live in close proximity to the hall. Their complaints include a lack of community engagement, a lack of transparency, and this being an inappropriate location for such a service. The residents who have contacted me have been clear that the objection is not directed at the charitable initiatives or the intention to support underprivileged families. The council report you received back in November does not address the risk to and potential impact local residents, including increased vehicle traffic and street congestion, elevated foot traffic inconsistent with residential living, delivery operations and associated noise disruption, and potential antisocial behaviour associated with increased transient movement. This is important information that residents living in proximity of this hall are concerned about. The council report does not identify if alternative council-owned facilities located in more commercial-style areas in the south were considered as part of the process. The report back in November is full of information regarding the benefits of such a service, but does not provide any validation why it should be at the location. Crucially, it certainly does not reflect or speak to the views of the local residents. Despite council receiving a community engagement report attached to the council report in November, it's evident there's been a gap in the community engagement process where the local residents have not been directly engaged and consulted in the lead up to the meeting. That said, the report stated the community engagement undertaken between July and August reached over 29,000 people through online, in-person, sector channels, including a drop-in session at the Hastings Street Hall. This statement in the report was followed immediately in the report by the statement, feedback showed strong community and partner support for a social supermarket model that offers affordable food, wraparound services and social connection opportunities. I did receive this letter from a resident. Our first notification of this approval enterprise came in the form of a letter dated 25th of February 26 from the council. For background, I attended this drop-in session at Hastings Street and stayed there for the entire time with my 3 young children. During the session, at no point was a social supermarket discussed, and certainly the location of Hastings Street Hall for such a venue or any community venture other than potentially using it as a community cafe was discussed. I'm a social worker, so these types of conversations are of interest to me, personally and professionally, which is why I attended.
Thank you. Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
And sorry, I stepped out, so I don't know if this question has already been asked. When's the intention of having this report come back?
Through the Mayor, as captured in the notice of motion, we will present a report to Council following the completion of the engagement and DA process. So that's subject to when the development application process concludes.
Councillor Dew. Are you seconding the motion? Or do you have a question?
I will second it.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go into debate, please.
Yes.
I just wanted to draw attention to some of the data that sits in Seaford. So Seaford, the boundary of Seaford includes, for those that aren't familiar, Robinson Road to the Esplanade to Oldham Road. It doesn't incorporate Seaford Meadows or Seaford Rise. And in 2024, children at the age of 5 living in Seaford were developmentally vulnerable. 26.7% of them were, based on the Australian Early Development Census. In 2021, the median weekly income for households in Seaford, that specific suburb that is around Hastings Street, was $200 less a week than the state median average price, amount of income, sorry. And then 34.7% of renters were experiencing rental stress compared to 30.5% in South Australia. This is the ABS data from 2021, and we can only imagine what it would be now given the increase in rent prices, the cost of living. So as Leanne highlighted, there is definitely a working poor, and they may not identify themselves, but they definitely exist within this community. These initiatives can bring fear, and I can understand that because we make assumptions and we have in our heads the type of people that may be coming to these sort of services, how a new project like this might impact the area that we've always known it to be, how it might change the value of our houses, how might our parking be impacted. We heard from Leanne that many people who access this aren't those stereotypical kind of ideas. They're people that circumstances within their life has changed, or they might be working 2 jobs, many different reasons why they might access this. It's not just a service. This is something that builds community. So it's not a handout, but it's a hand up. And it's actually, the benefit of this kind of initiative is that you don't need to demonstrate that you're doing it tough. Everyone's accepted, which is significant. It's not bound by the suburb you live or where you reside. When I went to the engagement on Saturday that council provided for the local people, I could hear very clearly from the residents who attended that they felt that they were unheard and that their concerns of this project may negatively impact the community in which they know. If this motion is supported, I deeply believe it will actually direct staff to consider alternate locations alongside measures that could be implemented to mitigate the concerns by neighbouring residents. I hope that when this report comes back, the case for Hastings Streets is either stronger or an alternate location is identified.
Councillor Pritchard, question or debate?
Quick question first. Is the funding dependent on, like, the council providing a site? Because from the...
I'll just check you. That's right.
Through the Mayor, the funding submission was a 3-way partnership between Council, the Good Shepherd and the Food Centre. So as part of that, that was our in-kind contribution. So we would have to take any changes to us providing a site back to the state government for discussion.
Debate, please. I don't quite know where I sit on this part of the motion at the moment. I can hear loud and clear from Councillor Yeomans around community consultation concerns and understand that that's the feeling of the local community, and I don't want to undervalue that in a sense. I guess the bit I'm unsure of is council has an asset at this location, and if it's underused or not being used at all, then if it's not a social supermarket, what else are we going to do with that facility? Because as a council, we need to be trying to utilise our facilities as much as we can for the benefit of our community, and a community food hub sounds like a good benefit to our community. And so whatever we do at that facility in terms of trying to increase its utilisation, which is what we should be doing with it, is going to create additional vehicles and additional people. And so I hear the concerns around the usefulness of the facility in terms of not having access to bus and train, and I think that does tie up with what a community food hub needs to provide. So that seems like a legitimate conversation. But I'm just not sure where the line is around how we go out for a council asset and what we do with trying to maximise our assets for the community as much as we can. And I feel like this is right in it, because I understand the concerns of the people around it and not being heard, but at the same time I think, well, it's an asset that we need to try and maximise, which is going to have an impact on people no matter what we turn it into. So I'm still debating.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor THEMELIOTIS.
Yes, I will have a little debate.
Go ahead.
Elected members, I'm not going to debate about the need for the community. Those have all been outlined. The only thing I think this motion does, and yes, I was another one who was sort of on the fence with this motion, the only thing it does is it actually just puts it to bed, because it brings the information to the forefront, and those who are absolutely against or have concerns, it'll bring all the information out and they will read it. And as the, was it Lisa? The deputation, Leanne, sorry, said in her deputation today, if it comes that this is the best location and I can understand the reason why, then so be it. So I hope elected members will support this, because making sure that our community around this is fully informed, I think that will give them some sort of acceptance or better understanding of what's going to be there. Being fully informed only means that we make better decisions. And we always say we want to bring community along for the journey. Unfortunately, in this case, the community has not been brought along for the journey, and we can rectify that, I think, by having a report that explores opportunities, explores the current site, provides all the information out there, and then community have that and understand why we made the decision we made. Again, the Deputy made several points around understanding Council's decision and understanding how we got here. So how do we address those questions without seeking a report that provides those answers?
Thank you. Councillor Yeomans, do you wish to close debate?
Just finish off, yep, please. In case you've not visited the site, there's 30-odd homes that face the reserve. The reserve hall is bounded by 4 separate residential streets and lies in an area between Commercial Road and the sea, a safe place where some people have lived for decades. This is a community in itself. These residents are concerned this proposal represents a significant and inappropriate shift in the nature of the premises and the surrounding area. This will not just be a social supermarket. The service aims to provide wraparound social services, including financial counselling, housing and family support, addressing the broader drivers of food insecurity, which is fair enough. It's also fair to suggest that people accessing this hub will not simply be there shopping. It will function as a central hub for people to attend in person, potentially for prolonged periods. This council has not had an opportunity to consider the public consultation with these local residents. Broad community consultation, yes, as to the benefits of the service, but nothing focusing on the concerns from the nearby residents and the potential impact on their daily lives. By not having the information requested in this motion that's before council tonight, when the decision was made back in November to establish the community food hub, it's now been left to the DA process, the development application process, to advise the local residents directly of the proposal that we have, and we've left it to the council assessment panel to hear and consider the concerns raised by the residents. It actually says that in that informal question. Following the legislative assessment and public notification process, the independent council assessment panel will make a determination on the proposal. Since becoming aware of the council food hub wraparound service model in the last 2 or 3 weeks, these residents have mobilised and informed themselves. They have created flyers and letterbox dropped them to residents in the proximity of this hall. This is when most residents have found out what's going on in their area. As a result of the numerous emails and phone calls I've received, I was asked to attend the hall to speak with residents prior to the council's drop-in session last Saturday that Councillor Dew talked about. Approximately 40 people turned up to speak to me. That's not bad for a Saturday afternoon, demonstrating strong community feeling and resentment towards council's transparency and engagement, and having no understanding as to why this site was chosen. To generate such an interest in such a short period of time goes to the fact they do care and that they were completely unaware of what council's proposing in their local hall and reserve. This council has not yet had the opportunity to consider the concerns of local residents against the future use of this community-owned facility. I think the community would expect council to be the decision makers here and also consider the views of local residents together with other points in this motion in their decision making. We often speak about local government being the closest tier of government to the community. Let's prove that by giving these residents a voice. Requesting a report back with this additional information will provide this council with an opportunity to make a more informed decision that demonstrates this council's commitment to due diligence and genuine community engagement. The local residents are demanding to be heard, and this is the least we can do. Please support this.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you very much. We now move, there are no petitions, I've not any items of urgent business. We are now at the point of confidentiality. I need someone to move that. Thank you, Councillor THEMELIOTIS. Seconded, Councillor Flatten. All those in favour? Against? Carried. I'll ask the chamber to be cleared by anyone who doesn't need to be here. We'll turn off the recording.
Recording stopped.